Okay, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and fishing accomplices, good morning and welcome back to fishing. So it is October 19th, 2025, and we are back at it fishing in the western Long Island Sound. Right now we're at the beginning of incoming tide, which is great, but the wind is supposed to really ratchet up out of the south today. Right now it's probably like 4 or 5 knots, but it's going to get up to like sub 10 and even above 10 as the day goes on. So got probably till like 11 or 12 before that happens. So my thought is sunrise, see if we can get some stripers maybe, see if they're around, but otherwise jump right into some tog and maybe even get some sea bass or porgies while we're at it. So incoming could be very good here if you fish it right, and I'm hoping that is something that's going to happen right now. So thanks as always for checking in. Catching the water soon because it's time to get some fishing accomplished. Oh man, I was definitely considering not fishing today, but what a beautiful morning. Definitely happy I made it out. It's not going to stay calm and beautiful for long, but while we have it, we might as well use it, right? Definitely feel that tide moving in. There can definitely be some bass around, but if not, then we'll just 100% go in for tog and whatever else we can get with crabs. Brought some squid too, just in case we get all the tog we need and want to try something a little different. All right, this is essentially the spot. Let's see what happens. Got him. Yeah, we got something. Something small. Oh, God, what are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, what'd I tell you? Always bass here. If we're only getting this, we're not going to hang out, but he is a skinny guy.
Yeah, so I tried finding striped bass in this particular spot for probably about the next 15 or so minutes. I usually try and give it till at least sunrise, but I really wasn't seeing anything too promising. There was some bait that moved through, but you know, the writing was on the wall. This wasn't really going to be a bass day, so the first thing I did after giving up on the bass was basically hanging out in this spot because there's a lot of good structure and trying to see if I can put a tog bite together.
Okay, we gave the bass thing an honest short effort, but not really seeing a lot of life. That could change. The tide intensifies and it's really starting to move now, but I figure we're really here to do some bottom fishing. So while we're right here, I'm going to check out this structure. I've never really fished here for tog. Definitely should be some around. Just question if there'll be some good ones around. Deep is not going to be really an appealing option for me all day today, so let's fish it while we have the option. Well, that might be a sea bass or a toadfish. Toadfish, just sitting on it. Called it. First one of these for me for the season. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, so after getting that toadfish, I hung out in the spot for at least another good 15 to 20 minutes, and I was getting a lot of small bites, but nothing was really picking up the jig, which told me that maybe it's just a lot of small fish in this particular spot, at least at this time. I'm generally all about trying to build a bite up, but I don't want to build a bite of small fish. And, you know, as I said, the weather was going to turn, and I knew it was going to turn in a couple hours, so I wanted to try and make sure I hit as many good spots as possible and not waste time in a spot that I didn't think, you know, would ultimately pan out. So I decided to move.
Yeah, so I tried working, you know, some of that deeper stuff where I was looking for bass, but ultimately just found a lot of small taps. So I think the real play, especially if the wind's going to jack up, is to get shallow and fish some stuff that maybe hasn't had as many eyes and lines on it as of late. I've got a few places in mind, so we're just going to bounce around until we find what we're looking for. Okay, new spot. This spot that I fished at least once before. I have a waypoint here, but definitely not one of my, you know, foundational spots, if you will. I've never been able to fish it like I'm about to. We need to do better than that if we want to stay here. But I will say, definitely don't need such a heavy jig here.
Yeah, so I remarked about the jig because in the spot immediately before this, I was out quite a bit deeper and much more exposed to the tide, and I was fishing an ounce jig, but definitely way too much here, so I went all the way down to a ½ ounce. Fishing inshore, I try and keep the jig pretty much as light as it possibly can be for the fish to have an easier time picking it up.
That's a better one. Where are ya? Alright. That's a far better fish. Let's keep moving in this direction. That's a better one. Not quite a keeper. Give this spot like 2 more crabs. Throw some harder pieces down there, see if we can get them to nip at enough so attract a bigger one.
So whether or not you've been following this channel for the last few months, one of the biggest developments that I've had for my fishing, particularly blackfish fishing, is the addition to my current trolling motor setup, the Garmin Force Current. Up until this season, every spot I go to I'd have to physically anchor on, which is very labor intensive and time consuming. But now that I have this motor, I could get in and out of spots much quicker. So it almost presents a new challenge that, you know, I want to give a spot time, but I don't want to give it too much time. So I'm generally not expecting, like, you know, keeper fish immediately, but I like to think that within 15 minutes I should A, have a fairly decent bite going, and B, shouldn't just be pulling up dinks, you know, one tiny fish after another. Even if they're shorts, I'm okay with, as long as they're larger shorts with, you know, a good amount of males mixed in. I find that if all you're getting is females, likely a lot of the larger fish have been pulled out because the males tend to be a little bit longer. So this spot I'm basically on my way out from, and I'm going to move on to the next one.
New spot. It's the best one here. Not a bad one. Let's see. I don't think so. $15.5. Finish off the crabs I have in here. right, next spot. This spot's a little shallower than the last couple that I've gone to. Put a bite together in both those spots. Just wasn't any real quality fish that I was encountering, and I'm not gonna hang around if I'm not gonna get anything big, you know. And by big, I mean like at least close to legal size. So let's see what we can do here. Lots of littles. That's a good one. That's best of the day. That looks like a keeper. Yeah, close. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's probably 15 and a half. Not gonna measure him. Nice fish. Let's do one more batch of crabs in this spot, then we're gonna move. This one's the best quality spot so far. We still haven't really found what we're looking for, so since time is limited and it's definitely starting to get a little windier, let's make moves if we need to. Ooh, what do we got here? What do we got here? He's lightening up, but it's nice. That's a keeper. That's 100% a keeper. All right. Yeah, nice male. First definite keeper of the day. Not a monster, but I'll go probably like 17. Just about. Almost 17. That's a male, so perfect. We'll take ya. I was about to call it on this spot a little early. Alright. Good to know we're not going home empty-handed for our efforts. And if there's one, there should be more. All right, let's see if we put together a half decent bite for keepers. Give it about 5 more minutes at this spot. I know we got a keeper here, but that last fish wasn't very impressive. I don't want to sink all my time into this one spot. There's a few other areas I do want to check out before we potentially get blown out. All right, it's time to move. We're done with the spot. Alright, well the wind has started. Let's see what we can get done before it gets too nasty. spot here, and then we're gonna make a move, try and maybe get a little bit out of the wind, but did put a bit of a bite together, so let's see if we can capitalize. Good fish. Whoa, my gosh. My gosh. What do we got? What do we got? It's huge. It's huge. It's gigantic. Oh no, he took me into something. Oh my god, no. I feel like it's still on there. Well, that was unfortunate. That was almost certainly just an absolute giant tog, but as they say, you win some, you lose some. He took me right in some really nasty stuff. I don't know that I really could have done much different there. I mean, I could have tightened the drag a bit, but you know, with this 15-pound test, 20-pound leader, I mean, it would have been dicey, you know. Tighten it a little bit. Not lost on me that that big one showed up right after we cut up a bunch of crabs, so did another batch. If we don't get any real improvement, we'll move at this point. There's at least one or two more spots I want to try out while we still have a few crabs left. Let's do our due diligence. So after missing that big fish, I did hang out that spot for probably another 15 minutes. It probably goes without saying, but I've edited out a lot of footage from this video just because it's just one tiny tog after another. There's a few other spots I checked out that I edited out as well because there's nothing great that happened there. But as you can see, the wind is really starting to ratchet up. So at this point, I'm really limited in the kinds of spots that I can fish. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of inshore structure, but there's some stuff that's a little bit further out that I was, eager to check out. And I will definitely check out if and when I get another chance to hit up this area, but today was not the day to hit them up in a kayak because of this wind. Okay, getting down the last few spots and getting down to the last few seltzers of the year. So this is a brand I've had, but I've never tried this flavor. It's Sovani. This is tangerine, brilliant tangerine specifically. Oh, that's nice. Definitely one of the better citrusy ones. Like, it's got a little tiny bit of sugar, I think. 20 calories. Yeah, a little bit of sugar, but not much. Just enough to be very refreshing, but it's nice. It's a pleasant taste and pleasant aftertaste, but hopefully this session will leave a pleasant aftertaste from the video. So let's see if we can end with something solid and not probably a small fish right now. Lots of these guys today. Lots of these guys. Hello. That's a good one. Surprising. Best one in a while. Oh boy, that was not too slick. Actually might be a keeper. I don't think so though. Probably like 15 inches. I could measure it, but I'm not going to. I don't want one that's like right on the line, so I suspect it's a little small. This one a little well. A little better. Let's try one more. See what happens. This is probably a waste of time, but let's see if we can find something here. I mean, we'll find something, just something worth keeping, or measuring for at least. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, no. Another good one just took me into the rocks. So you really got to put the heat on these fish, so I'm going to really tighten that drag up, because I guess it doesn't matter if they snap me off the rocks or snap me off the drag. Snap is a snap. There he is. Come on, get out of there, get out of there. Get out of there. Get out. Dang it. Not play around anymore. Some good fish here, it's just a matter of getting them out, so we're up to 40-pound test. I think that's the only thing we're going to get these fish out of here. Get out. Final 4 pieces. Probably for the best. It's getting pretty nasty out. And it's only going to get nastier. Nice one. Not the nicest, but might actually make it. He's like legitimately over 16, we'll keep him, but I don't think he is. 15 for sure. bookend the day with toadfish. Okay, well, definitely not the best first day in the Western Sound, but certainly not the worst. Western Sound can be kind of hit or miss for me, I find, in the early season. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely fish around, but this particular area I'm at right now, honestly, I would have chosen a different spot today if it weren't for these wind conditions, but I figured this was probably the best shot I had at getting into something and potentially surviving the wind and having a half, you know, long enough day. But yeah, a lot of the fish were definitely hanging out on the shallower side. There were fish deep, but it just seemed like a lot more small fish. I'm sure if I could have hit the right structure, I maybe would have found something out deep, but obviously with these conditions, I just didn't really have the time or energy to contend with that. But definitely some good fish in the shallows, but still just having to pick through a lot of small stuff. So I think the real trick is just, you know, finding the right piece of bottom that has the right fish on it. That one fish that broke us off or got us wrapped up in that structure was a heartbreaker. That thing was definitely not a small fish, but happy I get to take at least one fish home. So yeah, more stuff on the horizon. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks as always for watching. Goodbye from fishing.